listening.
Right. I said, men, what are 5 pieces of information would you give to women? And I said, be transparent and don't hold back. I got a whole page of men, because this is what women don't understand. It's easy for women to try to hold us accountable, but when we try to hold y'all accountable, y'all want to move the goalposts.
Yeah.
Women always want to move the goalposts and don't want to take accountability, right?
Yeah.
Now,
right.
Up here talking about this conversation, and you're going to have women that watch this video and going to have a problem with a man's experience, saying that, you know what the first thing they're going to say? Well, maybe you picked the wrong woman. That's not always true.
That's not always true.
And
we don't get to dictate your experience.
Thank you.
We don't get to dictate that. We don't get to dictate your experience. We don't get to dictate who and what you determine as a great woman, as a favorite woman, as a woman that you want representing you.
Listen, let me say this. She could be a good woman, but that doesn't mean she brings peace, though.
You're absolutely right.
Remember, the context, we were talking about bringing peace. Mm-hmm. So you can have a good woman, but she don't know how to talk to you. So the fact that she doesn't know how to talk to you, we interpret that as she's being disrespectful. So the only thing she has to do is just it's not about what you say, and I try to tell women this all the time. It's not about what you say, it's how you say it.
And the tone that you say it in, am I correct?
You listen, I tell women this all the time. If your man out at work, if there's a situation where you have an issue with him and he's at work, he might be having an issue with his boss. He might be having issues with some employees. You never know what that man is going through. And as soon as you call him, and as soon as he picked the phone up, you yelling and screaming.
Yep. Yeah.
You yelling, screaming, and fussing. He's not going to be receptive to what you're saying. And then watch this. Not only that, then the woman is going to feel offended because she's going to say, you were not listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
It's not that I wasn't listening. It's the fact that men, we process totally different from women, right? We process totally different from women. So in the midst of my processing, I'm going to make the main thing at the time. And if I'm at work, the main thing is my job, because at the end of the day, I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm going to get fired or et cetera, et cetera. Because if I get fired and come home without a job and tell you that I got fired, you know what? The average woman not even going to be sympathized, because you know what? She worried about her feelings and what she was trying to convey to him over his experience. And that is so sad. And I wish women would get out the comments making excuses. You got men saying that, guess what? That the average woman don't bring peace, and that's a problem. And women need to look themselves in the mirror and say, you know what? Maybe I do need to try a different approach and change, or at least try.
The thing about it is, self-examination is the hardest. When you have to look in the mirror and someone is telling you how that you've made them feel, and you have to look and examine yourself, it's hard for some women to do that. They can do this, but it's hard for some women, and that's very important, that self-examination. When you can sit, because, you know, in learning and growing and just dealing my experience with different men, you know, men are very, very simple. You all are very, very simple. I'll be 46 this year, and I'm yet still learning and yet still growing. And yes, I had a father, an active father in my home with my mother my entire life until the age of 28 when he died. And so men are just really simple. And we have to learn to listen. We have to learn to listen and not respond. A lot of times, and I want the women to understand, I'm a woman, so I'm not beating you down at all. I'm telling you, just like the men are speaking their truth, I'm speaking my truth and what I have experienced. And one thing I will say is, my friends or my family will never say that I have said that there are no good men, because the men that I've experienced in my lifetime, I was married before. So, he just passed in December. But I have experienced some some great leaders, starting with my father. I have experienced great providers. Provider not just being financial, provider being mentally, financially, and the spirit man. So I have experienced some very, very, very great men in my lifetime. So we just have to learn to come together and be receptive of what we are saying to each other. I'm not reading the comments of the women, but if the men are telling us this is how they feel, we have to sit and listen and not respond all the time.
But the issue is that we're not supposed to have feelings, and then women will say that we don't embrace how y'all feel about certain topics and certain things. But when we try to be vulnerable and open up, our feelings are not even considered at all.
The statements are made like "man up" or you're a punk, or so I get it. I do get it. But this communication thing, and especially with all people, but I'm a black woman, you're a black man, so that's my focus first. So between black women and black men, we have to do better, y'all. We have to do better. Okay.
I ain't mean to cut you off. I apologize.
No, you're good.
But with all these men saying that the average woman doesn't bring peace based on their experience, what is the last piece of advice you would leave for the women to first of all acknowledge, second of all make the attempt to bring peace to the men that they deal with based on the consensus of this platform today?
What I've stated before, listening. Listening is everything. Listening to understand and not to respond. If you have, what's the number that you gave? If you have 90% of the men saying this one thing, then we as women have to step up and listen and be open and let them be open and let them be vulnerable to how they feel. And we can't say this is not how you feel. We don't have that right.